Hey there, I'm Eternal, and I'm an object show fan that has barely watched any object shows. We have to fix that. Let's play Object Catchup. Hello and welcome into Object Catchup, the series where we discuss object show episodes right after watching them, whether they are new or old, famous or unknown. It doesn't matter. We will get to it all. Now, I do plan to do a request episode soon, but not yet because we still have a bunch of stuff to get to. From the past, right? From the past few weeks and stuff that we will be getting to in due time. However, it's time to start doing a decent bunch of that here today because I'm tired of being behind. I want to get there a little bit. Yesterday we had a surprise special for ODA, but today's not gonna be a special. We're gonna be taking a look at multiple object shows, but we're gonna be starting off with one that has 17 total videos, so we will be a while in one. Because we are gonna be taking a look at TDOW, which is the first season, which had a second episode, T.I.T.S, which happened at this point, like around a week ago, because I couldn't get to it, unfortunately, because it was right before all the big releases, the Law of Asian stuff. So we will be getting to it. But first, of course, we got to watch the first one, which is TDOW, which starts off at episode 1, released 2 years ago, the episode of all time. Let's watch it. Let's talk about it. Let's do all the good stuff. Okay, that was an aggressive little episode 1. So that was the episode of all time. Now, so we get introduced here to our fella, which is a circle with a top hat. That's the host. They can kind of fly. The animation for them is extremely smooth. Just the way that they move their limbs and stuff is very smooth, very well animated. Especially like when they were pointing to the teams, that looked kind of sick. I can't even lie. So that's all cool, but they're very aggressive. They do not allow people speaking over them. Like they use foul language a lot, and in general, they're just calling people very stupid. Which, you know what? To be fair to him, he's got a point because the fellas on that team are like hilariously dumb on the losers. Wait, what are the two teams? Yeah, there's the winners and the losers. So the losers lose. That makes sense. They don't know what 5 + 5 is. Literally none of them. They say 8, 8, and then 3. Uh, which is not great. But they don't know anything. But it's almost like when you grab a bunch of random people and go, "Yo, let's just do a show." It's not gonna go great. Which, I'm glad that we do get sometimes you do get a little bit of representation, what it would be like if you grab the 10 random people who are sitting in a grass field and go, "Yo, let's do object shows." Like, what? But yeah, I don't know who's getting eliminated. I generally have no idea. Maybe the one who didn't know viewer voting, the walkie-talkie thing. Maybe that one. But other than that, I don't really know. A few critiques. The music is a little loud. There are a few noises which I would consider quite unpleasant. TBH, especially there at the outro, it's not that good to hear an incredibly high-pitched sound that's like slowed down by 1000%. But the name's good, Total Drama Object Wars, even if it's Total Drama, so it's like, whoa, stealing. But let's keep it moving. Episode 2, Truth or Spare. Bro, I just watched episode 2 now. What's going on, bro? This show's so hostile. this this show's evil. What is going on? Everybody's so mean. Like, why? The host just tells literally everybody to shut up all the time. Their assets are pretty solid, but like, oh my god. I like him for some reason. The freaking knife sword fella also tells them to shut up. Like, why? Why? I don't even know. Why do you do that? I bet out the voting way off. It's actually Lego Break who gets out because apparently they wanted to leave, which makes sense. So they end up leaving. They end up getting disintegrated, just like the outro of the show. The challenge is truth or dare, so the truth just upsets everybody. But yeah, I don't know why characters so mean. Like, why is the fucking lightsaber like saying boo? You know, like in a way, okay, the host is being mean, but like everybody else is also just being mean. Like the general vibe of the show is just mean. So, yeah, true for dare, are you ugly? True for dare, are you from Object Terror? I don't know why that you can't answer that. And then true for dare you to lose the challenge. Fair enough. I mean, they do lose the challenge, and they were the closest to being out the other episode. So maybe I would guess that the bat signal would get out again. It's because it would make sense. But to be honest, like I don't even know how voting works in the show at all because like there's like this is like a reverse of what I expect. You know, usually in these elimination guessings, I have to find the mean character, right? It's like spot the mean character and then like talk about them. But in this case, like the opposite is like everybody's mean. So you just have to find who's the most or least mean, and then they'll get eliminated. You know, and it's like, bro, what in the world is this? All right, that's true for spare. Next episode, throw away your hopes and dreams. All right, I just watched episode 3. Throw away your hopes and dreams, dude. I hate the sound that plays at the end so much. It's so bad. Like I have to lower it, and then for the next episode, I have to up it again, so I don't even know the sound going on at the start of every video. Whatever. Yeah, I don't even know what's happening like half the time. They're just saying shit. Like literally they're saying the word. They're saying a bunch of bullshit all the time and like are ended up doing bad. 2 characters are eliminated, so we do double elimination. Which you know what, fair enough at this point. These characters they don't really have much unique personalities, right? Like they're the same archetype of just being sort of stereotypically mean all the time and potty mouths, right? So it's like, okay. The challenge is to throw a rock. I don't even know what that means, but they do. The losers for the first time don't miserably fail a challenge because Mr. Knight fella, who's not gay, ends up throwing them a pretty good. So yeah, good job on doing that. Which means that the other teams are for elimination. Did you know that there was another team? I low-key didn't see them yet. Like who? I didn't even notice half of these characters like exist because that team just has them being on screen like 99% of the time. So yeah, it's a bit complicated. Now, who's getting eliminated, bro? I don't freaking know. It's just I don't like which design do the voters like the least. I'm guessing the lightsaber. I don't. The voting in this show is directly at odds with voting as like a concept. 'Cause again, people vote mean characters, but how do you do that if everybody's mean? You know, like there is somewhat of an interesting voting situation here because like everybody is a rude character. So how do the voters choose? I don't even know. I haven't figured it out yet, but it'll be interesting to see. Either way, I do like the assets still. I think the animation is good, especially for like the rock throws and stuff, and the host has quite a lot of unique poses. So I am a fan of what's happening, but like wow. Anyways, it is time for episode 4 called wait, what is it called? Oh, it's called Damn, bro. You got the whole squad laughing. Ah ha ha ha. Indeed. I should have probably talked about this episode a little bit more. Look, there's really not much to say about it. You just can throw rocks. Like, there really is so little to talk about. I think this show is daily. I haven't checked the dates, but I think it's daily, right? October 10th, October 9th. Yeah, so it's daily. I mean, for daily, it's fine. Let's keep it moving. Episode 4. Damn, you got the whole squad laughing. All right, I just watched the episode 3. No, I just watched episode 4. Damn, bro, you got the whole squad laughing. Now I can't lie, to be honest. I am low key kind of interested in the fact that we did have a triple elimination. I know, right? Now, the thing about objects is we've seen double elimination. That's like the most common thing at this point. We've seen regular elimination. That makes sense, right? We've seen debutantes. We've seen all that stuff. Triple elimination. I don't think there's anything somebody has tried yet. I mean, I know that this triple elimination like is just for right now, but like triple elimination is kind of crazy. I am sort of wondering if triple elimination as a concept could work for an object show. I feel like it would be interesting, but not very interesting. I don't know. I mean, you could make a larger cast work. However, you would have to eliminate so many people per episode that it just kind of is weird, right? Like it's just such a big damage, especially if only one team's up for Elam. Like they get a -3, like that's a big hit. There had to be like one per team or something and stuff, so it wouldn't be amazing. Is basically what I'm saying. To be honest, like it could work, but a triple elimination definitely be complicated. I can't lie. But anyways, we can keep it moving. The eliminated contestants end up being the lightsaber, the file, and the glass. Pretty much the character who showed up. How the contestants, how the voters are voting is pretty much all right. Everybody's mean. We don't like the mean characters, but everybody's mean. So we're just gonna vote everybody who shows up. And then if you don't show up, there is technically an opportunity for you to not be a mean character. So I'm not gonna vote you. So that's I think how the voters are going right now. And then whatever character is meaner than another is like what? It's like, bro, I don't even know. I mean, the viewers literally cannot tell. They tied at 20 votes, file and glasses. Like that's just how little the viewers can properly tell. So yeah, it's a whole thing. There's a bunch of debutantes, which apparently are Grass Block, Dirt Block, and Meteor, and Crate, which that's a lot of square. There's a lot of cubes. I can't lie. There's three cubes in a circle. Not the best set of debutantes ever. Though Grass Block and Dirt Block could have a little bit of a dynamic going on, but dynamics aren't really a thing we're doing in this show, so I'm kind of doubting it. Episode 5, Survival at its finest. Go! Let's go. We didn't have a massive noise at the end of it. That sucked. All right, let's go. So that was Survival at its finest. I do, one of the things that for some reason I paid attention to in this episode, is that Oreo. They say Oreo, which it got me thinking. What if this host fella was an Oreo? I mean, like, it's not impossible, no. No, it's not. But like, What if Oreo? No, no. Think about it. It's like black, and then I'm just saying. I don't know what this fella is. They does look like a circle, but it could be. It could be something. Anyway, the elimination did in fact happen. They got 107 votes, which is more. But yeah, I find it interesting how the reaction to the contestants saying to shut up is so mean. But I guess they don't ever like retaliate in the sense of like act physically. So I guess people are capable of telling the host to shut up, which fair enough. That's like the show. Yet again, yeah, the voting absolutely just 100% rolls along with the concept of who is the least mean. Like basically, since everybody is mean in the show, just who talked the least ends up being safe. Which yeah, it's fun seeing voters who dislike main characters try to weave their way around this show. It's pretty tactical, but yeah, phone gets eliminated pretty clearly. Challenge is to survive. The entire winners team ends up losing because they get crushed by a boulder. How did they get crushed by a boulder? I don't even know. Lantern just said, "Yo, big rock," and then there turns out that there was a big rock. So fair enough. I guess there was a big rock. So then they're up for elimination, but not Ninja Mask, because Ninja Mask killed someone. So that means that this is hold on. There's two characters to choose from, and it's a double elimination. What are we doing? This is the most obvious. Like, no, I mean, isn't it literally already predetermined? Surely not, right? Surely not. I don't. I don't even know. Oh well. I guess we will have to see in episode 6. Teams are just stinky. Alright, I just watched episode 6. Teams are just stinky. So, Missile join? No, Missile doesn't join. They just exist, I guess. So that's cool. They exist. There's a lot of people showing up. That means that I see why the shows ended up getting 1 million episodes, because it just ends up that like The contestant is like an infinite show because the contestant count goes down, but then random person shows up, it goes back up, and then a random person leaves and it goes back down, right? So the chaos is not a double elimination anymore. It's actually a single elimination where Ring survives and Peanut Butter gets out. So goodbye, Peanut Butter. To be fair, there's a lot of times we're saying that's not fair in this show. Makes perfect sense. In this case, it was not one of them. The vote was pretty fair. If one was out, the other wasn't out. You got more votes, you were out. You know, like out of all things that don't make sense in this show, that was one of the few things that definitely did make sense. So yeah, so there's no more teams apparently, and then the challenge has the team captains pick teams. However, the last team is the worst, is up for elimination. So the Ninja Mask ends up picking Grass Brawl, Dirt Block, and Meteor. Those are the three rejoiners that we still haven't seen exist. So they might not be real yet, to be honest. I don't like that's still undecided. TNT Block chooses sword, lantern, and friggin' what was the other one? It was the helmet. Yeah, that was very relevant. That means that Ring and Crate end up going with them. But for some reason, Crate just joined, which is not true. At this point, it's been like 3 episodes. They are immune, which means that Ring and the friggin' walkie-talkie are free. Who do I predict getting out? I don't friggin' know. We are back to loud noises at the end. This is so sad. Let's head to episode 7 called Make Me a Hat because I'm cool and I'm gonna go do that. So as I do. They do say I'm cool a lot. Like, okay, I understand you're cool. I mean you're not, but you're cool. So let's go. Episode 7, go. Bro, I wish I had even the slightest idea what's going on at this point. So 3 more people show up or something? Who shows up? There's like an arrow? Is that the only person? Yeah, there's the arrow and there's the I don't even know the one from the last episode. Right? Oh, bro, I don't. Oh my god. Like, this show is an infinite loop. There's not much better way to say it. Like, it's forever. People leave, people join, people arrive, but they're not in the contest, but they are in the contest. They're up for debut. They're not at back. They're not in the competition, but they are in the competition, but they're not on a team, so they don't do the challenge. But then that means that they're never going to be eliminated, which means that they just survive by default despite not literally doing anything. But they are part of the competition, despite the fact that they're not on a team and don't do challenges, even though they're not doing that part of the competition. But they're still part of a competition because the guy said so. Like, this doesn't make sense. This not none of what's happening makes any sense. But either way, walkie talkies out. That makes sense. The rings man is doing nothing and winning because that's how you actually win. Like, genuinely, when everybody is just absolutely like digging themselves their own graves, like in this show, the best way to survive is to just not do anything. And Halo is doing exactly that. So fair enough. Challenge is to make a replica of a hat. There's one that's not very good, and then there's one that's pretty accurate, to be honest. And then at the other team, the TNT team doesn't even just kind of doesn't have one, so they're up for Elam. Who's getting eliminated? I don't know, but yeah, I don't, bro. Yet again, I'm kind of impressed by the animation, especially for stuff like the mouth movements on Halo and stuff. Like, there's some cool animation going on, especially when there was like the squiggly version of the host, because the hat that they were talking about was squiggly and stuff. Like, there's some cool stuff going on, but yeah, in general, I have no idea what's going on lore wise in this show. Who's getting eliminated? I guess I'm predicting TNT. At this point, I just have a feeling that every day they're just going to the editor, picking out whatever random effects they can find, distorting it to 1,000,000%, and then going for it. All right, let's go. Episode 8, an object battle royale. Okay, look, the thing is, I don't know what's going on right now. Like, I just watched this episode fully, and I have a less of an idea of what's going on now than I did before. Like, there is this, bro, this show is both confusing, but it is also just confused, basically. You know? Like it's just the show is confused. It doesn't know what it is. It doesn't know what it wants to be. It's just a thing made in a couple of days that is has stuff happen and is. You know, there's not too much to say here. Um, we do get a bit of a redesign, which is cool. Halo is glowy and stuff. The host style has purple eyes because, yeah, the scenery ends up looking pretty cool. The TNT is out, that makes sense, and the challenge ends up being a battle royale. I really like how the challenge got introduced, the battle royale. I thought that was a very smooth little animation. But then the battle royale starts. The teams are trying to figure out what to do, and they eventually get in a gunfight. Cray and the other team, Cray absolutely solos them, just destroys like half of, like pretty much the entirety of that team until Meteor eventually tries to shoot. Yet again, it was a very cool little animation of popping out of the tree and shooting, but they just get immediately got. I can't lie, Crate is good at shooting guns. It was not something that I was expecting Crate to be good at, but they do happen to be good at it. We do get to see Grass Block and Dirt Block actually do stuff. I do like it. Grass Block seems to be the one character in this show who's maybe not just the mean, like who's not just extremely rude all the time. Maybe. I don't know. I'll have to see. They didn't. They seemed pretty chill. All right. Then we have another elimination. This makes no sense. I'm sorry. So we eliminate Arrow because why not? We forgot to put Arrow on a team. Then we eliminate a Mushroom Cow that was never there. Okay, cool. And then contestants don't vote. The host decides, which is means that Meteor's out of the game because the viewer voting wasn't great because we were just voting off the main character. So let's have the host randomly choose because that's much better. That is so much better having a random choice rather than at least a mildly attempted at reasoning choice here for who to get eliminated. This is not good. This show is certainly one of the shows of all time. I can't lie. Total drama object war at this point, like how many of those words are accurate? Like it's not very total. It's dramatic. It's like there's one word is accurate in that title. I'm not too convinced about this show. I'm gonna be 100% honest. It's made quickly, but it's not trying to make sense, so it ends up not making sense, which makes a confusing watching experience. And then it just keeps switching everything up, and it's not like even if it wants to have a sort of BS rules, those BS rules keep changing, so it just ends up not. It feels pretty unsatisfying to watch, in my opinion, right now. But yeah, whatever, bro. Let's keep it moving, heading into episode. What is this called? Episode 9. Called a paint. No, paint me a picture. Which, to be fair, it's a cool title. And I like the thumbnail. The thumbnails for the show, to be fair, they've been rather solid. Especially the latest one that have had their own little custom backgrounds, because the first few always had the same background. Let's set it. Episode 9. Paint me a picture. Go. Okay, I just watched episode 9. I'm sorry, what the hell is this? Okay, because it's like, alright then, sure, let's get rid of viewer voting. Why not? Okay, sure, let's get rid of viewer voting, because it'll be better. It'll be improved. It'll be way improved, no? So then let's do that. But then you realize that you actually have to write an elimination now. So then you just don't do that and you just go like, nah, I don't feel like doing that. Fuck off, you're out. And it's like, bro, why? At that point, like it's not even that you're trying to make a gag with contestant voting. It's not that you're trying to make a story arc with contestant voting. It's not like you're trying to do literally anything with contestant voting. You just got rid of viewer voting because you felt like it. Which, okay, I understand that that's kind of the way of the show, but it's like, what's the point of that? Like it is literally just a worse idea, no? Because like if you're not willing to do it anyways, then just have viewer voting. That way it's done for you. You don't need to like go do anything. You just say numbers that are already there. Like it's an object, like it's a thing. Like you don't need to write a viewer. Like it's already there. So like, what's the point of getting rid of it if you're just not gonna even try to make a joke for the elimination? Like it's just there. Like what the hell? I don't understand what this show is trying to be. What? Whatever. Okay. Anyway, we have Christmas themed. I do like the Christmas theme to it, and there are some gags in this episode that are fun. I like to see Grassblock try to ask people things, and then everybody immediately tells them shut up. So yeah, thank you Grassblock for being mildly nicer than the rest. Maybe not that much, but mildly. Then some people are painting. We're debating over whether painting or drawing are different things and all that jazz. Lego brick and the squinchy end up coming back, and then squinchy ends up getting eliminated. Oh. But then like, yeah, who is safe? I don't even know who's safe. So, like, Grady is safe, but because they drew the host. But what about like half of the cast? Cause like, no, didn't Ringy draw the host, or did they not draw the host? No, they did. Wait, what? But no, but I keep calling them Ringy. The freaking Halo. I sorry. They look like a Sonic ring. Okay, I'm gonna be 100% on. Hold on. So what? They drew them, but they didn't drew. They undrew it. What? Oh my god, this show makes no bloody sense. Whatever, bro. Episode 10. Jingle All The Way. I just watched episode 10. I think right now I've been defeated. This show has defeated me. There is no piece of commentary that I can give on this. There's nothing. There's nothing else to say. It is genuinely, the jokes haven't changed since episode 1 to now. Like we're doing the same thing. Even the character that came back, we're just like doing jokes at Object Invasion's expense. Like we're just freaking doing that again, and it's like, okay, you did that already though. Like, aha, the host is mean and called the character degenerates. Yippee! Like, there's nothing new. Like, they do the challenge of giving them presents, but we don't see who gives what half the time. The host doesn't like any of it, and it's not that the Crady wins again by giving a picture of the picture. And it's like, okay, no, I mean, I don't mind that wins. That's a fun gag. It's just like, there was no competition because we don't get to see any of the other things that got given and stuff. Like, we saw that fella was gonna give him dirt. We didn't even see him react to the dirt. Did he like the dirt? What did he think of anything? Oh my god, dude. I don't even. At least this time there is an elimination procedure, and I did enjoy the elimination procedure at the very minimum. I did find it somewhat enjoyable how we actually had the characters choose, and Halo just kind of got dragged in for dumb reasons to have everyone vote for them. Like how Halo got pushed over by Crady, and then the ninja fella pointed at them. Like that was fun. That was cool. To be honest, I enjoyed that. But like on average, it's just man, oh man, it just does not feel like this show has changed it at all. Like there's not even been like an attempt at evolving it, other than the backgrounds and stuff. Like it's. Like even then we've like actively devolved. No, we have actively devolved. Like the host at the beginning just ended up having like the host half the time doesn't even have the purple eyes that were added onto their design. We don't even know what we're doing here. Like bro, I don't bro. I gotta like there's no way. I don't know how this show's made. But apparently episodes are like daily or something, and then they stop being daily. But then like they are daily. So it's like I don't. Oh, dude, how do I even? What would be the gimmick? Like, Are we just doing a scene? Is this a one take? It almost feels like a one take, to be honest. Nothing says the way that this show's made to have like any type of challenge format, which is why I'm judging it as if you could just not do it. But if it's like a one take show, it's like, okay, sure. But it doesn't like feel like a one take show because it doesn't say it. Like if it was one take, it would probably say that it's one take, right? So the fact that it doesn't, it's like, brah, whatever, bro. Okay, let's keep it moving. Episode 11, all the way from the seashore. Uh, No, it's episode 11, which means it's episode 10 again, which means it's episode 9 again, which means it's episode 8 again, which means it's episode 7 again, which means it's episode 6 again, which means it's episode 5 again, which means it's episode 4 again, which means it's episode 3 again, which means it's episode 2 again, which means it's episode 1 again. So this challenge, this time very different, is to find the seashell. To be fair, there is a mildly different thing going on here. Is that this challenge is there's no contestant voting going on. We instead just have the last place finisher get out. This was decided 50% of the way through the challenge, but it is a better way to do things than the previous way where like the contestants are voting each other but based on bullshit, right? So it's like, okay, sure, why not? Dirt Block, who originally is going like, I don't want to find one, ends up trying to find one desperately at the end, but can't really. Most other people just sort of either stumble upon one, which makes sense. That is the type of challenge that this is. There's not much strategy that you can put into a find the seashells challenge, right? Like they're either like you look for one, you can either find one or you don't find one. I understand that it could be strategy for ways to look, but we're not doing that here. We're not doing strategy and to what the hell is the show called? Total Drama Object Wars. At this point, I don't even know if the object part of it is correct. But like, yeah. So Dirt Block ends up getting out. Unfortunately, Grass Block is also kind of mean now. To be TBH, they've suffered from the mean virus, so that's not epic. But in general, everybody else is safe. I don't who's like remaining in this show. Like Jenny, I don't even know who's still in this show. I like but okay, I do actually enjoy the fact that the host remembers Miss Al, but none of the contestants do. And it's like, what? The contestants are just confused. I do like that as a little writing detail. Hold on. So who's exists? So there's the army helmet, which I don't care about. There's the lantern, which is pretty cool. There's the grass block, which I found interesting. Dagger, which is alright. Lego block, which is kind of lame. The ninja mask, which I haven't done much with them. So and then Crady, which is probably I mean, realistically, it just gives me vibes of one of the top contenders to win out of just being good performances in challenge. But this isn't really a consistent type show, like it's so much randomness and stuff going on here to where I can't really analyze it too deeply for who's gonna win. I haven't talked about the animation of it in a while, by the way, which it's exactly the same as it was. Like it remains itself. It's relatively smooth in certain moments when it wants to be smooth, and it does look quite nice. Musically speaking, it's definitely improved from the initial few episodes, but yeah, especially the host's movement ended up being quite fluid. So yeah, the animation style is still good. The new backgrounds did end up being better. Um, and I do prefer the host with purple eyes. It gives them a better vibe. They look like what is that one enemy in Minecraft called? They're like an endermite. Yeah, they look like an endermite. All right, that's what I'm imagining that fella as. Okay, I'm imagining them as an endermite. So yeah, and the top hat turning into a freaking Christmas hat is cool. Time for episode 12, which is called Don't Be Lazy. Let's be lazy about it. Let's talk about it, I guess. I've just watched episode 12 again, which means it's just episode 11 again, which means it's just episode 10 again, which means it's just episode 9 again, which means it's just episode 8 again, which means it's just episode 7 again, which means it's just episode 6 again, which means it's just episode 5 again, which means it's just episode 4 again, which means it's just episode 3 again, which means it's just episode 2 again, which means it's just episode 1 again. Am I not allowed to repeat myself? Because that's literally the entirety of this bloody show. And am I being a little bit mean? Maybe I am, but you know what? That's the point. That's the show. If the show is going to dish it, I can dish it as well. If the show can't take it, then go in a dishwasher or whatever. The challenge here literally doesn't even make sense. So the challenge is to not be lazy. Last one to not be. No, but they say it wrong. They say it fucking wrong. The challenge is to not be lazy, but then it's the challenge is the last one to not be lazy wins, which is the opposite, because that would mean that the most lazy one would win because it's the last one to not be lazy, not the first one to not be lazy, because the fucking military army bullshit helmet ends up winning by being the first one to not be lazy. Even if I think that is the second one to not be lazy, because Lantern, I swear to God, said it fucking first. This, like, the thing about this show is that even with its logic, it doesn't make sense, right? Like, even if I apply the show's own construction to the show, it still falls apart. It doesn't work. It's like Polybridge when you fucking build a wrong bridge. Like, it doesn't work. I don't get it. Like, it's cool to, like, you can have, like, I need your show to make sense, no? You know? Like, if I'm gonna discuss and analyze your show, I need it to make sense. And I am gonna call it out if it doesn't make sense. So, like, ah! Well, we have a contestant vote again. Yeah, it continues to work in the same logic. Lantern gets out for saying something mean, even though that's literally every character all the time. But that's the joke. Fair enough. That one's fair. I'll give them that joke. Episode 13. What the hell is it called? It's called The Weather Beats You Up. Okay, let's go. Hello, I just watched episode 13 again, which means it's episode. No, okay. We're not doing that again. But, so this challenge is a punching challenge. To be fair to this challenge, alright? It's written alright. It makes sense. People don't like Lego Brick. They get them out first. Then Ninja Mask, which is obviously one of the strongest characters in terms of fighting, would be, in fact, doing quite a good job. So they sneak up on people like a ninja and manage to defeat them. Then they survive alongside the army helmet, which makes sense. They're our army helmet. I guess they'd be pretty decent at fighting. So they try charging and then immediately get defeated by the ninjas, because I guess the ninjas better than the army. That makes sense. So in terms of that challenge, you know what? Sure, that was alright. I don't really have any critiques on the matter. It was a pretty alright challenge. Then at the elimination, what did the characters do? They decide to eliminate Lego Brick. Yeah, that makes sense. At least as far as the contestants are concerned, they really, really, really do not like the Lego Brick. So, like, in general, makes perfect sense, you know? So, you know what? Yeah. I don't know, it's called The Weather Beats You Up, because, like, not really. The snow's still here. I don't know if you were just, like, too lazy to get rid of the friggin' thing. It would have been cool if there was, like, a wind-based challenge or whatever, you know? And then there could have been, like, a, a, a reason, but... Because, like, in the thumbnail, it does look like it's a wind-based challenge. Like, you see how the thumbnail is? It's sort of this way. It's sort of way darker gray. It looks like it's like there's a sand. No, there's not. There's a snowstorm, right? And it's like windy and stuff. Like that'd be cool. However, that's not a thing. So that's cool. That means that it's time to head into the episode number 14. We're getting there. We're getting to the end of this show. It is titled The Walking Lie Detector. Sure. Alright, that was episode 14, which means that I just watched episode 13. No. So today's challenge, today was always a different day. So this challenge is that, it's interesting in theory. So it's a lie detector challenge where you can't lie, basically. You gotta be 100% honest, otherwise you are not safe. Okay, sure. If you don't lie, if you're honest, you win. Alright, cool. That's a cool little chant. I don't mind it, but of course it doesn't fucking that do. It doesn't fucking do work like that now, does it? Because there's not actually a lie detector. Just the host doing whatever the hell he wants for the 14th challenge in a fucking row. There's a. Okay, look, I don't, whatever, it's the show's doing what it's doing at this point. I've crossed like the event horizon on like episode 10 when I was like ranting about it. I've like crossed the event horizon and I'm more into, okay, I get it. This is just the same thing 16 times. Let's do the same thing 16 times. Right? Like it's not. It's not interesting, in my opinion. Like, the premise is fine, but genuinely, like, the past 10 episodes, or at least since, like, the snow started, or, like, episode 9, at least, like, after the Battle Royale, it literally just has not felt like anything has changed. Like, it's just kind of the same thing, written in the same way, spoken in the same way, characters acting in uninteresting ways because we've already settled all the jokes. And it's like, okay, you can do that, I guess. I mean, I'm gonna let it. I'm here, that's what I'm doing. I'm here to discuss all the object shows, and I am discussing it. I'll let the show do its thing. I don't understand why. I totally don't. Like, I don't know why, but if that's what you're gonna do, that's what you're gonna do. All right? And I can't stop you. So, that's fair. It's 1 year. These videos make me extremely curious for the second season. Because how is the second season going to be here? Like, the episode actually is new. Because, of course, here we're talking about episodes that are 2 to 1 year old. So I'm curious how the second season is going to be. But, oh well. Episode 15, second to last episode. Hidden messages. Go! I just watched episode 15, which is the semi-final. Did anything different happen in this episode than usual? No, it is exactly the same format as before. Um, but anyways, what happened in this episode? So apparently the challenge is to find a hidden message on a wall. Do you get to see the wall? No, you think you get to see the challenge? Oh, silly you. We don't see challenges around here. We just imagine them with our brains until a randomly Crady finds a note that is pulled out of the wall, and it's great. It's amazing. It's so epic, and it's so epic. By the way, I just like to point out that, like, so I would sort of notice this on Aswell, but this show is so unbelievably Crady biased. Like, from the because no, okay, it's Crady biased, but not for no reason. To be fair to Crady, Crady is kind of doing the game correctly. Because if you think about it, right? We're in a situation where we're playing a competition show where that makes no sense, right? And it's just kind of the host who decides everything, and the host is super egotistic when he thinks that they're the best thing in the world. So you know what? Just fucking glaze them all the time. Whoa. And that works. That like works so well because it's like draw a painting and then draws the painting of the host, right? So then it's like, yeah, that makes sense because then the host's gonna like it and you're safe, which makes sense. Then the next challenge, give me a present. They do. They gave a present of the image that they gave before because they know that they like them and they're egotists, so they're gonna like it again, right? So that makes sense, right? So okay, that's cool. So like for example, in the lie detector, it's the same thing. Am I cool? Yeah, of course. Say that they're cool. Glaze them, absolutely glaze them, and then you'll be safe, and they are safe. Which means in this challenge, you just end up getting special treatment, right? Because you end up going like, all right, I like Crady. You choose who to eliminate, right? So like in general, Crady just gets like better, right? Or also just being one of the less insane competitors, but also like just being pretty solid challenges. So you know what? As far as the gameplay perspective goes, I don't mind Crady. Crady's kind of playing the game correctly. I expect them to win, but I guess we're gonna have to see in the finale. There's no viewer voting, so the host probably is gonna go like, "Which one of you says I'm cool wins?" or whatever the hell. So what is episode 16 even called? It is titled "The Finale of All Time." Okay, let's go to the finale. There we have it. I have just watched the final episode of TDOW. Okay, what do I say? Yeah, it's just like this show. I don't get it. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. I don't get it. I'm gonna want somebody's gotta enlighten me on it a little bit, cause I don't really understand it. To be 100% honest, I don't really get it, cause it's like, okay, I understand it's like a joke show that's made quickly. Most episodes took a day to make, right? And all that stuff. And it's supposed to be sort of vulgar because there's a thing that object shows can be vulgar, right? And then it's like supposed to be kind of cheap and lazy and stuff. But it's like when you're making a full 16 episode like show, it's like don't you get bored? You know, like don't you get bored of doing that? Just doing the same like gag again and again of the host says a thing, the sword or whoever it is just immediately says something that says no to whatever the hell it is, and then the host says shut up, you suck, fuck you, and then it just repeats that again and again and again. Like it's not a thing. Like it doesn't feel different, you know? Like I understand the concept of it, but you gotta evolve on a concept. Genuinely, I don't know if this show, it's in my eyes, I feel like the amount that this show evolved between episode 1 and episode 16 is like negative. Nothing changed. The amount of understanding that I have of these characters is the same as I had them since the Battle Royale. The Battle Royale is like the one episode. Anyway, there was a finale. I got to talk about the episode. At this point, I'm almost just refusing to talk about it. So, the last episode, the Stinky test is remaining. Everybody, you vote. We don't get to see it because, of course, right when we get to fucking see important stuff, we don't get to see it. But apparently, everybody voted Ninja Master being third. Why? I don't know. But they did what they wanted to do. Okay, cool. So they did that. Now, then the other two have the final challenge, which is to draw a fucking host, which never happened before. They didn't do that in episode 9. No, 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 they would never do that. So they're doing that. They both fight over it, which makes no sense, by the way, because this is, as far as the challenge is concerned, this is a hilariously undramatic challenge. You just sit there and draw. But for some reason, we have forced them into writing like, no, I'm gonna draw better. No, I'm gonna draw better. Just fucking go draw. And then like they present the drawings, they're pretty much exactly the same. The host picks at random and Sword wins. Good job, Sword. You have won a coin flip. Woo! So, good job. That means that you win a prize, which is a cookie. For some reason, they're mad about the cookie, even though last episode they were literally buzzed, like overjoyed at the possibility of getting a cookie from a challenge in the show, which is, again, the show's not consistent with itself, which is like, okay. And then same thing goes. And eventually they win a prize, which is a trophy. Good job. You won a trophy, Sword. You did it. You made it. As far as the winner is concerned, I think Sword is a pretty solid winner because Sword represents, in a way, what the show is. I think Sword is the perfect example of the show itself in the way that the show, like, that the jokes are. So many of them fall on Sword, interrupting the host, Sword saying shut up to the host, Sword, the host disliking Sword saying shut up, right? Like they just have this back and forth in so many episodes, like half of them, when it's like, okay, that makes sense for Sword to win. Sword does feel in a little bit the embodiment of the gag that the show is, the singular one. And yeah, I guess it's a deserved winner. I mean, for a season, it's not the greatest cast of all time because, of course, we don't get to see them evolve. Because anytime anybody tries to even dare speak to somebody, they immediately get told off. So that's cool. But that's really all I've got to say about it. I don't really get it. Like I understood the initial concept, but once the initial concept didn't change for 16 episodes, it was like, okay, it's like, what are we doing here? Either way, it is time to move on to the second season, which is all right. Well, the first episode is already 8 minutes long, so we're already big stuff. It's kind of titled "The Incredibly Tacky Shits." Episode 1A. I'm just a bit tired. All right, then. Oh yeah, by the way, the host's name is Mr. Roundy. So how about we round up with that episode? Let's go talk about it. Alright, I have just watched the T.I.T.S, which I already don't remember. I am very sorry. What did it stand for? It stood for the incredibly tacky shits. Yeah, that makes sense. So we start off with a warning, adorable little warning text. It reminds me of those old cinema studios, like when the character's trying to pull in the text and then something doesn't work and then everything explodes and stuff, and then they get screwed over and the text itself just sort of appears. There is a little bit of a lack of sound effects. I can't lie. It just like it does feel a little weird, especially when there's a bright warning text, right? And the character frantically pushing the thing. Like I feel that there should be some sound effects because then it sounds a little awkward because it takes 40 seconds of the video before any sound has hit. Like you're just in complete silence for 40 seconds. That when you have a long warning, I feel like it's got to have some sound effects to it now. I mean, I don't know. But anyways, we meet our host, or hosts, I think, which is a microphone, which is a trying to copy Mr. Roundy style, which I don't know why you would ever want to do that, but that's what they're trying to do by just sort of being kind of mean. And there's this other like co-host thing that's just like a hand. They are significantly too quiet for the pacing of the show in the sense that they will literally nearly always get cut off like all the time. But oh well. The cast is arriving. So the cast gets shown. We have an intro, which it wasn't a thing last season. I'm not necessarily. That show didn't do anything, but but like I guess the fact that it didn't have a cast, I didn't have an intro. I'd be pretty surprised by that. But here we have an intro. It's a very routine intro, to be honest. It looks nice. It looks pretty, but it is routine. We have all of the characters popping in, and then their names appear. We have some returnees and also some old guards that were they were definitely some of the best characters, the ones that returned. I think that those were pretty solid choices. I can't lie. Then we have teams. So what does the teams do? They split the team. So they make teams. And then eventually after that, they well, everybody complains about the host, which I'm glad that at least, even the characters in the show can admit that the host just is not good. Like not even like it's just no. It just wasn't it. So I'm glad that even the people in it can admit it. They eventually go make team names, I think. Wait, do they even make team names? Oh, no, they don't do team names. They do character introductions because, why not randomly 3 minutes in to decide, yo, after we make the teams, let's do character introductions, and the characters need to say their names and one things about themselves. Incorrect. You thought that was gonna be correct? No, they just kind of say their names, and some of them don't even get to say that. But yeah, that tends to happen. So you see, there is this one thing that's massively missing, is that it's called team forming. Oh my god. Team forming is a good thing. There's a reason why shows do team forming. It's because you get to see the characters actively interact with each other. You get to find out what the positive um uh, dynamics are, what the negative dynamics are, right? Who wants to avoid who wants to be with who, and then the teams can sort of do stuff, especially now that, we're doing episodes with a bit more substance to them. I mean, just this introduction is 8 minutes. That's double the length of any episode of TDOW. So, like, it's, we're doing episode with a bit more substance for sure. So, like, you can actually maybe have time to do a dynamic, do writing, which last time you could barely do. But, like, because there just wasn't enough time. But in this case, you might have enough time to do writing, so we might actually want to see interactions, and therefore, team forming, which I also don't know why you wouldn't do, because team making is some of the people's favorite parts of object shows. To be honest, like, it's one of the most iconic parts of LBB. And they get to form teams, they can make a goofy team name, and it's fun. You know, Grass Block ends up suggesting the team juice than team soda, which, to be fair, that would work. But anyways, they end up doing the introduction. So what is American Flag? There's American Flaggy, which has followers on Objectgram. Fair enough, I guess. You're like micro celebrity. Clipboard, it doesn't get to say anything about them. Combat Helmet is a fella. There's the Cratey, which, yeah, thinks that the final was pretty dumb. Then there's Lego Brick, which tries to exist, but Sword decides to do what they do. There is, I think, an overload of loud noises in this episode as well. I understand. Okay. It makes sense for you to do loud noises a bit more here because there's a microphone, and that's microphone, right? You just tap a microphone and it makes extremely loud noise. However, yeah, it's not great because, like, why? Like, this the thing with loud noises. I don't get them. I just don't get it. Like, I'm listening to the show, but I can't listen to the show properly because if I turn it up, my ears will die because there's gonna be a loud noise in any random gag. So I can't. I need to have it low, and then I can generally just hear less of the show. You know, like, it's just, it feels like a lose-lose situation. Like, oh, whatever. Eventually, there is Grass Block, which apparently has dementia now for some reason. That's what they did to Grass Block, which is interesting. Medkit exists. Hockey Stick, which might be an awkward character, I think. There's Peanut Butter that also exists. Then there's Present, which seems to be, I guess, the ruder character. There is what are you called? The freaking eyes, squishy. And the Sword who won. I'm surprised that a winner comes back. To be honest, I can't lie. So yeah, there's the toolbox. That seems interesting. It's the one character I got to properly say a fact about them. They love the anime and they love their tools, but they said in this ominous way where it's like, all right, something's up with this fella. We're gonna find out. So I like that. Then there is Vinyl, which we don't really know about him, and then there's Wallet. So there's the Wallet. Oh yeah, and the warning sign doesn't even get to say their names. Yeah. Then the challenge is the most boring challenge ever invented. What is the challenge? The challenge is to build me a wheel. That's a pretty crazy challenge. So it's apparently intended to be the tactically most boring challenge possible that no one has ever done before. First of all, incorrect. Negative point. That is a challenge that has been done before. That is actually a challenge in Google's diplomatic show. If I'm not mistaken, Google's diplomatic show has a challenge in episode 1 that is that That is what the challenge is. It is to build a wheel, and they do build a wheel. So that means that, nope, done before. We have had a challenge in an object show about building a wheel. I've covered it in Object Catchup. Did a whole special about it. So, that is incorrect. Secondly, is that a boring challenge? Maybe. I mean, like, it's on it. No, it's. To be quite frank, it's a more interesting challenge than like half the challenges on the other team, because it's at least a challenge that a team would have to work together to do. You know, like you would have to build a challenge. Like since I'm talking about Google's diplomatic show, this being a challenge that's happened on Google's diplomatic show, that was relatively interesting because there's different ways to approach building a wheel, right? Like you can try to build it, just build something circular that technically counts. You can try actually grabbing metallic ingredients and stuff to build a wheel. You can just build like a wooden wheel, you know, like the old days, because it's technically a wheel. You can technically take some other stuff, like maybe cheese wheel. I mean, it's not a wheel in the traditional sense, but it's a wheel, right? Like there's some tactic and strategy to it. So I would actually say that's a rather interesting challenge. So I think this host is wrong in literally everything that they've ever said in life. But yeah, I don't mind the challenge of building a wheel. It can exist, but eventually the challenge ends up doing. Oh yeah, the teams are end up being soda and team juice. The logo is actually quite good. I really like them actually. To be honest, the soda can pop and then the juice spilling. Then eventually we have contestant vote because viewer voting is banned. Yet again, I'm worried about that because why? You know, it's like, oh no, viewer voting is stinky poo poo. Okay, sure. Well, why don't you write your show so that the contestant voting isn't also stinky poo poo? You know? Like, what are we doing? I'm using the show's own words against itself, alright? I'm not. I'm not being mean, okay? The show is mean to itself. Alright? So I'm allowed to. Okay? If the show was nice to itself, I'd be nice to it. But the show is mean to itself, so I'm treating it how it treats itself. Okay, which is that the show itself calls itself really bad. So I shall do that as well. But animationally speaking, it's yet again it's pretty solid. It's not inconsistent. Okay, it's not really inconsistent, but I am missing a little bit of that smoothness. You know, like one of the good things about Mr. Roundy was that they were very much so. The way that they move was kind of smooth. It was kind of good. I liked it, but that's not exactly present with this. Um, which it happens. There is the flying co-host, which does also have a lot of those little movements, but they don't really happen. But either way, now the animation is solid. To be honest, there's not much to complain about it. It's sometimes it'll be inconsistent for the sake of jokes, though, so that's perfectly fine. NVAs are suitable. That mean the voices are suitable, except for loud noises, which happen relatively frequently in this episode. I think they've happened like 5 or 6 times. I'm not gonna add one more in that because then you get a meme, and I don't want the meme. So yeah, I think that's all I got to say. I mean, look, it's promising. We just gotta like progress, you know, because like the absolute problem with the last show, in my opinion, was that it felt like nothing happened. Like things were happening, challenges were happening, characters were getting eliminated, but it was a standstill in terms of writing. Because like every character felt like they never changed, and everything felt like the exact same thing that it always was, which was just host says shut up a bunch of times, contestants say mean dumb shit, and then one of them gets eliminated without getting to state their claim. No relationships happen, right? Like no friends are formed, no friendships, no enemy ships. What do they call it? No enemies. Nothing. Just nothing is formed in general. It ends up being a negative skiverative. So like nothing happens and it just feels like the show's the same. So here we have more time per episode. I think. Look, this episode's 8 minutes. It doesn't necessarily mean that 1B is going to be 8 minutes, right? Or anything near that. However, I'm going to go with the presumption that it will be because I think that would be better. So if it is roughly around that length, I would think that there is enough time to write things, characters doing things, right? So I'm interested. I'm absolutely interested. I'm hoping that we can do something with that, you know, write character interactions properly, have characters not just constantly say shut up to each other. Because the thing about saying shut up to each other is I understand that it's a kind of funny joke, but at a certain point, that just immediately segregates everything because you just cannot have a character interaction because they'll just say shut up to each other, right? So that means that nothing can ever happen. And if nothing ever happens, the show's boring. And I don't care that the show calls itself boring. If the show that calls itself boring is boring, it would still be boring. So I'm really hoping that it's not boring. All right, even though it wants to be. Yeah, I think that's all I really got to say about this right now. I mean, I'm definitely hoping for the best. I definitely see a pathway towards success, but the way that it's going, I'm not sure I trust it too much because TDOW was very much so stale. I can't lie, it was stale. So this has to find its way to not be stale. So I guess we'll have to see, you know. But all right then, we will be moving on to the next show. Let's go. Alright, the next object show that we're going to be watching is titled This Is an Object Show, also known as TiaOS, which has had 3 episodes so far. It seems to be a relative meme, so we're going to be watching it. It's created by YellowDaLizard, which is a YouTuber with 8 subs. So go subscribe, of course. We can get him to 10. We can get him to 10. So let's start off here with episode 1. Here we go. Yes, go, Robert. Let's go, Robert. Okay, I just watched episode 1 of TIOS, which does sound like an operating system, really does. But so we see that they're just chilling, having a good day, and then from the sun gets ripped apart by Squiggle Man thing. That I don't know what it is, but they appear. They look like a nuclear bomb, but it's Squiggle. They're all in the white void now because, well, there's no sun. So that would make sense, I guess. Um, which means that, yeah, so the Squiggle is going to be hosting an object show with these 4 people because Pi gets eliminated immediately. Well, they don't even get to be the show. They're more like the prop. They end up being the example for what's going to happen when you get eliminated. You get absolutely yeeted. So, yeah, we have a cat's eye, we have Orby, we have a pickaxe, and we have, I don't know, a shape. So, the challenge is going to be to climb that thing. Him. I don't know who that is, but Pickaxe does manage to, I guess, pickaxe their way on top, as well as the shape somehow manages to make it to the top. We don't get to see that. But by the way, the scale of this mysterious host entity, I don't know what it is. They seem pretty tall, to be honest. I can't lie. For the way that they just overlook everything is kind of crazy. So Cat's Eye and Orby are available. I must say, maybe it's a little bit of bias that the Cat's Eye voting thing has 2 letters while the other one has 1. I ain't gonna lie. But let's watch the second episode. Lucky there's a relative person. Whatever that means. Bro, the vibes that this show emits, they're kinda... They certainly are. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the thing about the vibes is that this show's silent. And then you get hit with the freaking music at the end, the stop music. But then it's like, the show's silent, and the only thing that happens is every text box has the same sound effect. It's like, I don't even know what it is, but it's like that freaking Half-Life 2 sound effect when you interact with something. Or extremely simple, where like click a menu option in Half-Life, it gives like that sound. Like it's super eerie as it was meant to be, because Half-Life just has that vibe to it. So it just ends up with this kind of weird outer worldly vibe. So the lava scorpions are attacking, then the freaking Orby ends up becoming the host shapeshifts into the orb and then uses the thing from the last challenge to crush the lava scorpions. Or something along those lines. So that's interesting. Then the host comes back and decides that it's time to do the elimination. Orby gets eliminated, so, well, too bad for the sacrifice. Goodbye. And then the challenge is to find Stewart in the thing. I can't lie. This show also maybe doesn't have the best timing of how long to keep the text on screen, because sometimes it is a little fast, especially for example when in the whole scene about the mirror shop. I had to go back and pause it. But in general, I mean, it's a good test of speed reading to see if I still got it. But anyways, Pickaxe dives in to the cave. Stewart just ends up escaping because the boss is dangerous. Cat's Eye apparently finds him. Um, even though the Cat's Eye doesn't even do anything. Like, it's the freaking shaped diamond that ends up even talking to them. The pickaxe ends up managing to defeat the enemies and escaping, but the father and son fella end up saying the Cat's Eye save. The Cat's Eye does absolutely nothing and wins. Good job. Pickaxe and diamonds are the one up for elimination. No idea. This is a vote to save. So remember, save. I don't know who we're saving. I don't look. Is vote to save or vote to eliminate really going to change that much with 3 votes? I don't know. But let's keep on moving into the latest episode, which is episode 3. Why do all of this? Okay. Bro, what did I just watch? I don't. Um. Uh. Bro, I wish I knew. I wish I had any idea. So. Uh, what? So the toast is chasing down the fellas. There. What even happens? So they do the elimination, but then right as they do the elimination, it just so happens that a conveniently placed gigantic mountain ends up crumbling down on the host, and then the host dies, which means that everybody is free. But then Timmy, from the edge of the box where they're all in, the white void box, ends up saying that, hello, I'm hosting now, and I am a giant guy. The fellas try to run away, but don't remain. The shape diamond fella, Cat's Eye as well, who gets stabbed in the process by a grappling hook. So then they do the elimination outside. Um, and then the shape fella ends up getting eliminated, which made Cat's Eye pretty damn sad. And then the challenge ends up being to escape the universe. If you escape the universe, you win the show. Okay, cool. Then I don't know why, but some like Polish advertisement text thing starts playing like there, and I cannot tell you why. But it's playing like for pretty much like the majority of the rest of the video, which is makes so little sense. Eventually, the pickaxe ends up falling down a hole, enters a clock portal, and ends up in squiggle form, which means that they are powerful now. So they ask Timmy, and Timmy sends them back to a land where they can make a portal and go back. And then when they go back, they can uh go to the end of. They make a portal to the universe. They make a portal to the outside of the universe. So they win. Good job. So then they go back. Cat's Eye, by the way, hasn't moved this entire damn time. So it's not like Pickaxe was in too much of a rush to escape the universe there, because, like, not like Cat's Eye has moved. But Cat's Eye ends up falling down in the hole and then disappears. And then I don't even know what happened, but the host comes back, is gonna have a new season. Oh yeah, I completely forgot to say there's a massive flashlight warning on this video. I don't know why. Yet again, it's one of those I don't know why the hell there is one. But like there is. I'm glad that there is a warning at least at the start of the video, but there are massive flashing lights in this video. My apologies for not pointing them out. But yeah, I mean like you know complicated stuff. But yeah, in general, what I think of this show, it needs audio. You know? It needs like audio that makes sense. It needs some type of background music that's playing. It needs like sound effects, speech bubbles that aren't all like they need to change depending on the character, right? Like it needs that. It needs not to have Polish advertisements playing in the background constantly. Don't need that. And then you'll be capable of making a pretty interesting little joke show. But so far, I mean, it's a joke show, but it's more of a what show? Like, it's like, it's less of a joke show, more of a what the hell is going on show. that type of situation. So yeah, that's I think what I can really say here. It's kind of a situation, I must say. But yeah, let's keep it moving. Let's go next. Good luck on anything else that you might make, because apparently there's a season 2 according to Squiggle Master, host fella. So all right, next. Alrighty, the next object show that we're going to be taking a look at is one with 2 seasons, which had its season 2 release an episode a week ago, which, well, we have to get to. It is titled Magnificent Madness. It is created by Balloon Animations, which is due to 116 subscribers. We have to watch season 1 of this very show before getting to season 2 of this very show. Season 1 has 13 episodes, but we're going to be starting it off from the beginning. The beginning is episode uh, 1. It is titled Split Decisions. Let's go, let's watch it. We'll talk all about it, and then all of that good jazz. Let's go. Alright, that was episode 1. So we get I guess a little bit of a quick rundown. So Magnus, which is a magnifying glass, I believe, um, is the host. So they want to make teams. So the first challenge is basically pick up a ball and throw it into a basket, and if you do, that'll be your team. If you don't get it in time, you'll just have no team, and the last two, what team gets to pick who to inherit and who doesn't. So that's pretty solid. The animation for this show is low-key kind of interesting. I do like how some of the stylistic choices are. Like, I think the ways that everybody throws them into the hole is kind of cool. I can't lie. Like the bouncing it from arm to arm. It is a power of this style of animation. However, in some cases, it does, however, I think lose out on a little bit of the object understandability. Because who is half of these objects? Like, we got a puzzle piece, like a clip fella. We've got like an elastic band, maybe. We've got like a USB, a traffic cone, a ticket, a movie ticket. Then we've got the red fella who's like a dice block. But then I don't know who the rest are, to be honest. Like, one of them is a suitcase, maybe? Suitcase? Maybe? No, I don't know. One of them looks like a green crayon, like an acorn. Then I don't. One of them maybe a paint palette. No, that's not a paint palette. I don't know what that is. And then I don't even know what that blue one with an antenna is. Genuinely no idea. Right. So like it does maybe sacrifice a little bit on understandability to get its whole rough design going, but in general it's fine. I don't mind it. And the challenge, I thought it was pretty creative. It was pretty solid. Let's watch episode 2 now to see where this goes. Risk versus caution. Go. Okay, so that was episode 2, Risk versus Caution. So, our challenge here for this episode is to climb a big stack of the towers of boxes that ended up existing, which is pretty cool. So, the two members that I guess each team chooses to go, there's Traffic Cone on one team, then there's the Dice Block on the other team. I must say that I do think that this is a pretty solid challenge because it highlights the strengths of this format. I think one of the biggest strengths of this is that it just like has a lot of potential in the way that you animate movement, right? And this is a challenge that's pure rawly based on movement. So you get to see like how the dice moves, and especially how the traffic cone moves and like interacts with the environment. Like you can properly animate that, like you see sliding down on the wall, jumping back over. So I mean that's hard to do. It's very hard to do. There's a reason why you don't see usually animation that fluid often in these types of objects, because it's kind of hard, to be honest. So in general, I think that it's cool and it's a challenge that definitely highlights the strengths of the show. Gear voting is introduced. I screwed up like half of the guesses on who I was. So glow stick is who I said was green crayon. Joystick is who I said was suitcase, if I'm not mistaken. I guess the red bit wasn't there in episode 1, all right? And then I think I got rubber band correct. I said elastic band, but like okay. Yeah, ticket and USB. Okay, I got 4 out of 6 ain't bad out of these fellas to have gotten correct. It's I did decent. All right. let's keep it moving, heading into episode 3, Paired Up Problems. Okay, that was episode 3 of Magnificent Madness. Okay, so I gotta say here, right? I do kind of gotta say this. It's, kind of, the challenge wasn't explained too well. So the challenge is that you basically have to walk around the tightrope. There's some, like, lava on the floor, right, and stuff. And then you are attached to somebody else, and then you have to walk the tightrope. Thing about it is, it's never mentioned. Only one person, only one duo has to walk the tightrope. The other one doesn't, which like no other one does. It's like first to get there, because when the way that the challenge is described, it makes it sound like everybody needs to go walk the tightrope, which would be more interesting, but also take way longer because like here's just the first person to go. So like the fact that the whole like one person from one team paired up with the one of another team, like you could do interesting if everybody had to go because they, oh wait, but I don't want to get through because you know like my team isn't gonna win, like their team's ahead, and then I'll make them more ahead if I let us finish, but then I don't want to fall into the lava. So what I do, I'm in the middle of the tightrope, you know, like stuff like that. But then in general, it's also like that's not what happened, basically, because it's just as soon as somebody crosses by and presses the button, it ends up being pretty bad. I don't know why does USB end up on fire. I have like no idea. You get dunked on by the dice. Like why? But so Paint Roller is the one I didn't understand. Bubbly also didn't understand. Puzzle, Coney, and Teabag is the one who I said was Acorn. So I got them all wrong here. I can't lie. Yeah, that's fair. That happens. You ever just get everything wrong? Um, but as far as the challenge, I mean, I think it's a pretty solid challenge idea, conceptually speaking, or just directly, because it's another challenge that highlights the strengths. The strength that this show has is the way that it can animate movement, and this is a very movement-based challenge again, and it utilizes that to its advantage. So far, we're doing smart challenges. Next up, team spirit or lack of it. Let's go. All right, that was episode 4. So I'm pointing out the intro of the show last time. I like it. It's cute. It's really fast. A little jingle, throws the arrow, ends up pointing up towards the logo. That's kind of fun. So nobody is actually gets eliminated because everybody ties at 1 vote, which is interesting. About 4 people tying at 1 vote when there were like 4 options. Yeah, that's crazy. Everybody was perfectly divided there. But not gonna lie, in this one, I find it interesting how nobody gets eliminated. It's like that is a bit of a dangerous thing to do. Because you know, you could have the show last significantly longer than you expect if that's going on. But eventually we have the challenge, which is to make a team name and team logo. So we end up having Dice and Puzzle Block swap teams for the one challenge, which is interesting. Now, I do think that they're safe or something. Because okay, so yeah, Dice and Puzzle swap pieces, but then Dice wins the challenge on the other team, so they're up for so they're not up for elimination, while Puzzle Block is in the team is from the original team that won the challenge, so they don't get up for elim either, which is okay. So I know this is a very, I mean, if you think about it, it's a very low danger challenge because like Puzzle Block piece, whatever, could have absolutely thrown the challenge like 100% and not gone up for elimination because they're from the other team and the other team would have won. So that is absolutely the strat that you should have taken because you're safe on both scenarios. So like you're never gonna end up in voting, I think, but you can like ruin your team and be fine. So I think that's good. Now, by the way, the team names that end up being created is the Crimson Comets and the Azure Flames. Now, okay, I can't lie, they do kind of give vibes of like college baseball team, you know, like we're the Michigan Crimson Comets, you know, or the Ohio Azure Flames or whatever, right? But it's like they do give off that vibe, but they're relatively good. I would probably agree with the judges here that the Azure Flames are cooler. I can't lie. as a design, it's I guess more interesting. I like how it uses the paper to signify that like the flames arriving is expanding, and also just blue fire is cool, and the word azure is just kind of cool by itself. Have you ever thought of the word azure? It's clearly one of the best words to have been invented. So that makes sense. Do we get an immunity token, which that's an immunity token, and an upgrade token, which upgrades you. So they get their own little robot fella. So good job, Dice. Dice is giving me vibes of the titular character here. It seems to be the one that's appearing in the most stuff. Everybody's up for Elam. USB, I think, is up for Elam, even though they don't have a name tag on them. So that's something. Then we got Ticket, Glow Stick, and Rubber Band. I must say, it's kind of hard to read this text. The brush size is a bit too high for letters, but you know, it goes how it goes. Let's keep it moving. Episode 5, Bought Before Dawn. Shout out to the cat logo at the end of that. So, that was episode 5. Okay. We have the elimination where Glowstick gets eliminated this time. Goodbye, Glowstick. We actually have an elimination. So this is more of a 5A, but the challenge is to build robots, and then the robots will eventually fight each other in the next episode. Now, by the way, okay, I'm sorry, right? How is it that everybody in the cast knows how to build a robot? That's not that's not common knowledge now, is it? I don't think it I don't think it's common knowledge to build a robot, right? Maybe I'm hella wrong, but I don't remember that being a thing that everybody knew how to do. I mean, this definitely feels like they watched like a movie about like the robots battling. I was like, yes, that's a mad that to my object show. But yeah, let's see. Maybe the bot brawl's cool. We'll have to find out. Everybody builds their own little bots. Some of them have some cute little scenes, like we got to see the vision from the USB screen, the puzzle piece using the computer and stuff, the one-legged one from Teabag and stuff. So we'll have to see in episode 2 how the bot brawl goes. Let's find out with in that video. Let's go. So we have had episode 6 of Magnificent Madness. So the idea here is we have a 2v2 battling brawl thing where we have a bunch of fellas. Now, one team is represented by Ticket and USB, while the other one is represented by Teabag and Bubbly. So it turns out that the duo of USB's fighter and the tips and tricks being created by Ticket's robot end up working out after almost not doing that. So fair enough. Then we have, I mean, I have like one question here. Why does Dice's robot not go? Because if you think about it, that is literally the robot that they gain to get an upgrade, right? And that's like better for them and stuff. So I feel like it would have been a very handy to the challenge for that team if Dice's robot went. I can't even lie. But either way, they get away with it. So it's time for the elimination, which is double elim now. That makes sense, considering we've had multiple A's and B's and episodes where characters don't get eliminated and stuff. Like, we're not eliminating a lot of contestants here. So double elimination, 2 votes at a time. It's a debate that double elimination is better in this case for shows with the smaller cast, because that way, like 4 voters can cast 8 votes, and now there's more, there's a bigger gap between who people want out and who people don't want out, rather than the possibilities of tying 1-1 like we did before, right? So yeah, we'll have to see. I don't think we even see the voting numbers anymore, at least when Glowstick got eliminated we don't. So oh well. Episode 7, Cold Clash. Let's go. Okay, so that was episode 7, Cold Clash. So eliminated ends up being Cone and Paint Roller. That makes sense to me. Why? I think it makes sense because, like, I can't lie, those were the ones that didn't help out their team. They didn't do the road boss, they didn't do all that. Yeah, so in terms of getting eliminated, that makes sense. Yeah, we don't have our voting numbers anymore, so we can't exactly tell if they got eliminated significantly or by just a little bit. Oh well, we got rid of them. Unfortunate. But the challenge is a snowball fight. I think that the snowball fight is in theory a pretty interesting idea. However, I think they do it kind of lazily. sort of just having repeating loop happening until a character eventually gets hit. However, I do like how we used a robot that DICE earned and then starts throwing shit everywhere after glitching out. But then eventually the truce comes in, but DICE, ooh, you know, like betrayal. And eventually that team ends up still being up for elimination because of a mega catch by by Bubbly, which I mean, like, this isn't dodgeball. Like, it's not like you grab the snowball and the other team is out, but okay. Either way, USB gets out and that team's up for elimination. Who would get out? I mean, I'd predict DICE because DICE did the betrayal. So, I mean, that's what I'm guessing. But then we also have freaking a rejoin and a debut at the same time. So theoretically, it means that the amount of people in the next episode should be the same because we have a rejoin and a debut. I don't think it's time for a rejoin, but I mean, I guess you can have a rejoin. I don't know who's rejoining. Usually it'd be the clip because they got out first. And then we have a debutant, but obviously we're not going to have the names of any of the debutants, just have the images of them. So I don't even know what half of them are. One of them looks like a star flower. What even is that? One of them is a coffee. That looks cute. Oh, I'd vote that one, I guess. I hope that one gets it because they have glasses. Okay, let's go. Episode 8, Unexpected Return. Okay, so what's going on? So we have a musical number, I guess, in this episode when doing the elimination, which ends up being that DICE gets eliminated. I kind of like one of the critiques that I have of this show is definitely that it's not the audio for it isn't crawled very well, basically, right? Because we're sort of we have I think too many cuts is what's happening. Because like sentence by sentence is fine, right? However, the thing is that like every like 4 words, it feels like there's a cut sometimes, and it's very noticeable when it's in between a sentence, right? You need to cut off and start next on a pause, like a pause, like when there's a comma, like a dot, like that's when you move, like that's when you can do a cut, right? But when you just say the line and then halfway through it switches, it just ends up a little bit awkward. You know what I mean? Because it's really awkward if you know what I'm saying. Right. So yeah. Then we have the debut, no, the rejoin, which does end up being the clip because of the classic object show thing. The rejoiner must always be the person eliminated first, regardless of who they are. So fair enough. Although I just gotta say, um, so that means that because we don't have the numbers, so joystick was rejoining, but one person committed voted fraud, so now clip is rejoining. But if they voted twice, that means that one of the votes should be redacted. I mean, it should be a tie in theory if it was only one vote gap. But I think what's happened is we've revoked both votes, which is crazy. From that person. That person just doesn't matter. And then the clip rejoins by one. So that's fair. I mean, is it fair? Actually, it's not that fair. But fair enough. And the debutante is Bubble Wrap Jr. Fair enough. I mean, we saw him in like the boxing fight and everything. Sure. And then there's no challenge. It ends up being spinning a wheel. The fellas are safe, and the others are up for elimination. Who gets out? I have literally no idea. Like half of them didn't even speak. Ticket hasn't done anything for a couple of episodes. Could be a little uh-oh moment for him. And for some reason, there's magnifying glasses cracked, and the eliminated contestants can host. So, okay then. Let's see the next episode, which is called Tickets to Victory. Okay, so that was episode 9. I'm low-key surprised I managed to do a challenge like this in 2 minutes. Voting numbers are back. Yippee! We got a total of a good number of votes. I don't know how many. Well, there was a minimum. Wait, what would be the minimums? Minimum of 9 votes. I don't know how many. We only saw 5 be cast because we don't know how many votes Bubble Wrap was eliminated with, but it was at least 4, right? Because 3 was the second save. So, okay then. The eliminated contestants then set up a challenge, which is a 3-part race. A unicycle race, a truck driving race, and then eventually a track race. So that's I mean, it's not the best race of all time, but it is a race. There's a bunch of memes there as well. and then the teams are going. Ticket ends up winning the challenge, which is required. What that was required ends up just about winning over puzzle, but it is kind of required if you think about it. Maybe because like if it was a double elim, that would mean that one person per team would get eliminated, which means Ticket would be forcibly eliminated from the show. So if Ticket was forcibly eliminated from the show, that would be kind of cringe, right? Because we wouldn't get a choice. So Ticket gets to stay. Everybody else is still there for rejoining. Apparently, the robots have been acting weird in a quick scene that lasts about 1 second. So maybe the robot revolution is incoming. I don't know. We're gonna have to see. It looks like a me phone. I ain't gonna lie. So we're gonna be seeing what's up because episode 10's incoming. We're getting to the end game of the season, and yeah. It is called, what is episode 10 called? The episode 10 is titled Missing Piece. So am I ready to watch it? Yeah, I think I'm ready to watch it. There's really not too much to say about this video, like else. Because the challenge, it's relatively straightforward while also being complicated and kind of long. Like when it was explained, it sounded like it'd take way longer than it did, which it doesn't really take that long. So yeah. Anyways, Missing Piece. Let's go. Okay, so I just watched episode 10. So what happens is the army revolution are incoming. Um, which means that puzzle piece, which gets out, immediately gets like stolen away and kidnapped by the fellas for some reason. So yeah, eventually the host fella ends up TPing everybody out into safety or into no, not into safety, into like the home of the computers. So they are off trying to figure it out. They're trying to team up and stuff. So Bubble Wrap Jr. and T-Bag come in together. Rubber Band and Clippy come in together, and then Ticket and the USB end up going together after some classic pushback, pullback stuff. Where it's like, hey, why would I go with you? And it's like, no, just go with me. And it's like, okay, that type of interaction that happens all the time. But eventually, they all go into a room. Where the freaking puzzle pieces, because there's these like mildly glitched out blue and red versions, if evil fellas, but they're not really that evil. To be 100% honest, they're like actually quite easy to beat. Like it was. So they find them. For some reason, they decided that the best thing to do is lock up puzzle police in a glass cage with a door in it. So I think they broke them out. Yeah, teabag. The teabag and the freaking Junior bubble wrap end up getting them out. So, well, not getting them out, but just getting them, just in general. That means everybody else is up for elimination. Ticket, USB, binder. I'm saying that maybe Ticket gets out because I don't know if they're like angry. But to be honest, I could not really tell you majority of the time. But the show is definitely happening. We're definitely seeing stuff. I have no idea though if they actually got puzzle piece out because they reached puzzle piece, but still got to get them out. They had like a whole chained on neck, right? So it wouldn't be that easy to get them out. So I mean, I don't know. But all right, episode 11 gone. Okay, so that was episode 11. I don't really know what just happened, to be honest. Okay, so the freaking host is locked up and behind the cage. There seems to be higher defense because it's blue than the other ones. So, what is to stop the what are they stopping? I don't know. The challenge is to stop the machine, but or either way, it might be a cloning machine. Is that a cloning machine? I don't know. But either way, the fern fella decides, no, we'll have to destroy everything. So they're going to explode everything. I have no idea what USB is doing. USB connects themselves to the computer. Somebody else comes by. But then they decide that T-Bag's going to do an epic sacrifice to save the building. Put the bomb in the T-Bag. Then it will explode. And T-Bag will be very dead. But everything else is gonna be fine. Until Magnus, conveniently talking to themselves, proceeds to say the subplot, man, it sure would be bad if somebody died right now because I cannot revive them. You know, that would be so sad, but thankfully that would never happen. So, yeah, I think Teabag ends up leaving the voting screen while everybody else is there. So, I think they might be gone. I can't lie here. It's not looking good in that aspect, to be honest. But, yeah. Shit's tough. Anyhow, it is time for episode 12 called Magnificent Memories. Thumbnail for it looks quite good. It's honestly a higher quality thumbnail than like every other thumbnail by quite a bit. So let's see what we've got in store in that one video. Let's go. Alright, I have just watched episode 12, Magnificent Memories. Honestly, rather less than magnificent, I gotta say. There was not very magnificent memory. It was actually quite a negative memory. It was quite a sad memory. Um, so this episode is a little bit more awkward in the way that it's recorded, because it's kind of screen recorded. You can tell at the beginning, after the intro, that like you can see the pop up there on the phone at like 9 a.m. recording, and then the line at the bottom there. So I don't know why this episode is captured worse than the others. Like that's kind of weird, but I guess it is. But yeah, we get to see the memories of why Tab and this whole phone guy was mad, and it was because the the host Magnus was just so mean. You know, they didn't care. They wanted their co-host to do everything, and regardless of what it was, which, yeah, it's type of behavior. You can't be abusing co-hosts like that. So eventually they cracked trying to download it, but their storage was full, which, yeah. Eventually they get recovered by Magnus, and Magnus says, "I'm sorry. Do you?" And then it's like, that's it, I guess. I mean, to be fair, there was already a decent attempt at trying to take them, they kidnap them, and it didn't really work because they got saved. So I guess it's fine that they end up being defeated and end up losing. But yeah, I mean, I understand what they're mean now. I'm glad that we got a backstory on it at least, because I was a little bit worried that the show was gonna do the thing where it's like, haha, I am an evil robot that wants to take over the world. Why? Because I am evil. Right? But yeah, I'm glad that we're trying to get some explanation on the characters and trying to make them a little bit more sympathizable. Anyway, yeah, T-Bag's dead. Goodbye, T-Bag. T-Bag, I guess, ends up getting eliminated. And then the final four. So eliminated was supposedly going to be Ticket until the immunity ticket. The immunity ticket. The immunity token gets used by band on the by Rubber Band on Ticket, which means that Rubber Band themselves gets eliminated as the second part of the bottom two, which means that only 3 people remain: Bubble Wrap Jr., Binder Clip, and Ticket, which makes an interesting situation because Binder Clip is the rejoiner, Bubble Wrap Jr. is the debutant, and Ticket is the longest standing original contestant. Who do I want to win? The thing is, Ticket has ended up kind of being disliked and just coasting by somehow. So I don't think they're gonna win. But usually I'd go against rejoiners or debutantes winning because they usually, like, that's not a thing that happens. But in this case, I think it probably will. I'm saying Bubble Wrap Jr. for the win, but honestly, I don't know. Yeah, Bubble Wrap Jr. for the win. Let's see if I am gonna be correct. Heading into the finale of Magnificent Madness Season 1, the crowned one. And there we have it, the finale of Season 1 of Magnificent Madness. Let's go. So, we get to see the old characters and who they wanted to win. So, the early eliminated contestant won Binder Clip because Binder Clip was always just chilling at the eliminated mansion. That is logic that makes sense. I know, right? Crazy. Like, that actually makes sense. That is reasoning. Like, oh, yeah, you would want to do, you won't want that because of that. Yes, that's smart. That's good. Okay, I like that. So, the ones in the middle, they're more, attached to their team, so they like Ticket. And then there's a few of them, who got attached to Bubble Wrap Jr., such as Bubble Wrap and Teabag as well. I really like, yet again, just the ways that some of these characters move, like how Bubble Wrap Jr. attaches themselves to Magnus, right? To try to get closer to them, to speak more, like, have more impact in the speech, which is nice. But then the votes happen and Ticket wins. So That's fair. Usually I'd predict Ticket to win. Like Ticket gave me definitely the vibes of usual winner because they're the one character that's not a rejoiner, not a debutant. They've been here the whole way and they deserve to win more than those two. However, I am surprised because Ticket was kind of disliked. But I guess one of those characters where in a vote to eliminate they might get out, but in a vote to save they'd also probably get stay in. One of those characters that's maybe a little bit polarizing, right? In elimination they're out, but in saving they're in. So good job, Ticket. You win $5 million. I didn't know that. When was that stated? That's like they tell that to me. I'm gonna participate. Can I participate? What the hell? So fair enough. They'll go hang out in the mansion. In the meantime, these four fellas, Bowling Ball, SpongeBob, Box, and Purple, this is rectangle, ends up wanting to compete. So they'll probably compete alongside the rest of the contestant fellas. And yeah, that's probably what's gonna happen for season 2 of the show. This was published on September 1st. So the season 2 ended up happening not too long after. Yeah, that episode did 2 months ago. This started like 1 month. The second season started 1 month ago. So it's all looking pretty solid on that aspect. So yeah, and the episodes for it are longer and everything. It's all cool. In general, this season was all right. I like this show definitely attempted to have Laura to do things. I think sometimes it maybe didn't make too much sense. It was paced a little weirdly. I think that one of its biggest flaws is just that not that the voice acting is bad, but is that the voice acting cuts itself off too much, right? Like you have to do more. They have to do more one long take than three small takes. Is basically what's happening, right? You have to try to lower the amount of sections that each line takes because sometimes that became pretty apparent. But other than that, it was pretty solid. However, I'm curious to see how season 2 is going to be because it's so early after season 1 that I'm maybe honestly doubting a little bit how much of a quality increase I can realistically expect. So I'm expecting something very similar to the current state, to be honest, something similar to the current season. But let's see, maybe Balloon Animations here can surprise me with Magnificent Madness 2, Episode 1, The First Gasp. Let's go. Okay, so that was episode 1 of Magnificent Madness 2. So we get introduced to a little new cast of fellas. There's some other voice actors. There's a little bit of a style change. It's significantly less rough, right? Like in the way that it was way more like hand drawn the last show, right? Especially with the assets and everything. This season it gives a way more of a like uncrewed vibe to it, like the assets themselves have been cleaned up, which just makes overall the show seem nicer. So here we got a double set of hosts, Magnus and or I'll call him A, which is some sort of algebraian type character. So those are the two hosts now. We have a lot of rejoiners. The main rejoiner was Rainbow the celebrity, but then we have a lot of contestants here. So we have this star flying fella, which looked pretty interesting. They had a solid voice actor, so I'm interested in them. Rainbow, apparently a celebrity, being held by the SpongeBob fella or Spongy. Well, no, well, then there's Fred, that's just a stick figure, which is interesting. Apparently offers cigars. Coffee, liked coffee, that was cool. Cap, I haven't seen too many of these characters. There's a nuclear bomb. For some reason, there's Opal. Opal is interesting. I just saw that. So apparently, when the sun is out, there is like white Opal on the white version, which is like nice, and then maybe like the dark version at night. Yeah, there's like the light opal when there's light, and when it's dark, there's the dark opal, which is like more assertive and dangerous and formed a team all themselves. So when a cloud came by and the shadow arrived, then dark opal took over. But then it seems like light opal and dark opal don't seem to know about each other, or at least they don't seem to like recognize when they're not in control, which is very interesting. I actually love that concept. So I'm really hope that they do some interesting things in there. Bubble Wrap Jr. is still sad about Teabag, which Scorp's just there. That's When somebody dies, you don't just they don't just stay like you put them somewhere. They don't just stay out there in the open all the time. Whatever. Um, then we have a thing. Then we have our challenge. Well, the teams get made. There's not too much I can exactly judge about these teams yet. They sort of exist because this challenge doesn't really matter with the teams. The challenge is to hold your breath, and after 20 seconds, apparently a team loses, which is did that happen? I don't know. I swear not that many people lost their breath. Like it wasn't that big of a number, but apparently they did. So yeah. Very interesting cast. It's a cast with a lot of potential. We gotta do challenges that make sense. I mean, that challenge is bad. You know, it's bad because we don't get to see screen time for any of the other characters. I understand you would have to make the episode longer to get more screen time and all that just, but don't be afraid, right? It's like, okay, I understand you want to make an episode short, but don't sacrifice the product to make like a shorter episode, you know? Why are you gonna make your episode worse to make it shorter? No, like you still want to keep that quality high. So I absolutely would just recommend like, you know, just make a challenge that allows more teams and more interactions to happen, because in the way that it is, that challenge, no interaction could happen because we're just holding the breath, and it ended in like 5 seconds when we really need more character interactions. So yeah, absolutely need a better challenge, but other than that, it's pretty cool. Next up is episode 2, the one from 8 days ago that we're finally getting to, quite delayed. It is titled Unlimited Limbs. Alright then, let's go. Ominous stuff and a good thumbnail, great thumbnail actually. Holy. That's the best thumbnail yet. Honestly. Let's go. Okay, I just watched episode 2, and by the way, immediately, I'm glad that we actually fucking credited the voice actors this time. Because what the hell were you doing last episode? I forgot to point it out, but like, what the hell? Like, credits, I can't bother to write the voice actors. Like, what the hell? Credit the people who help you work on your freaking show? Like that was one of the biggest disrespects I've ever seen. I can't even lie. That was crazy. But they're all here now, so we are fine. But either way, we have a little bit of a situation. So we don't know where A's from. I guess there's going to be a mystery that, you know, we're trying to figure out all throughout the season at the end of the post-credit scene as well. A is like, you can't ignore your path. And this bowling ball asks questions to A. A doesn't respond, stares blankly at the screen, even though that's the breaking the fourth wall much. But yeah, eventually we have the votes, which means that who's eliminated? Hold on. BWJ is eliminated. Yeah, they're gone. However, before they leave, they tell A to recover Teabag, and they try, but no, they need to get all the parts. Whatever that means. I think that's what A said, whispering. It was very quiet. Fair enough. It is a whisper. I would expect the whisper to be quiet. So good job, goodbye, Bubble Wrap Jr. I'm surprised that Bubble Wrap Jr. is eliminated, but okay, I am. Am I? No, because again, it's one of those characters that kind of doesn't want to compete, and people don't like characters that ignore the show. You know, like if there's a character that's got bigger things going on, right? A character that's like, no, I'm sad about my friend. I don't want to play the competition. And they're not gonna play the competition, and they're just not gonna really do much. You know, like in general, it's gonna not be much. So voters just vote them out, because I know we want to see characters who want to play the competition in the competition. Which, I mean, that makes sense to me. I can definitely understand that. The challenge is to escape Gerald Adam, which is an eldritch monster pet that A has. Challenge is survive. Now this is very well, okay, I'm not gonna exactly say this is like Animatic Battle 2, but it's kind of like Animatic Battle 2. No, everybody gets immediately disintegrated as soon as anybody touches them, and it seems like the teams are just dying. We get a bit of an excuse to make some death things for the characters, which, you know what, I don't mind, considering Magnificent Madness 1 was in terms of like people actually in danger, was relatively low stakes up until the kidnappings, and even then they were just kind of stuck in a room, right? It was relative. I don't mind seeing character die a little bit. We don't gotta do it too much because the freaking like loud noises is a bit annoying. Because like again, I don't like loud noises because you have to lower everything and then you can't hear anything. But if you put it loud, you'll get destroyed by the loud noise. So it's a lose situation. So I'm not a big fan of it, but either way, yeah, we do end up having it. USB is definitely on the road to the dying. Like we're have a to be continued, but realistic is like who wants to be a millionaire question. Does USB A die or B die but even more, right? Like there's no way unless the eldritch being goes, I am nice now to you, USB, you are my best friend, right? Like unless that would happen, it seems like there isn't anything. I don't know who shows up next to A at the end. That looks like a Z. That looks like a upside. What is that, by G? What is that? That like a Z? Like a upside? It's like a reverse Z. But there's like a different line. Is that the arm? I'm treating those as the arms. So then it'd be like an upside down Z. Like a mirrored one. Yeah, not like a upside down. Well, wait. I mean, I guess it would. No, it is an upside down Z. It's also no, it's an upside down Z. Yes, I was correct the first time. It was not a mirrored Z. It's an upside down Z. So yeah, I don't know what that is, but yeah, I don't know what A did in the past in the evil Eldritch lands. I'm glad that we had a character in the show that wasn't in the show. That was great. And I also never pointed out the intro, so I'm gonna point out the intro right here, right now. The intro's cool. I mean, it does suffer a little bit from generic object show intro core, where character appears next to their name, does two poses, and leaves. But it's better than the other one, even though the other one was cute with the quick 2-second one of the arrow. It's like this one's more useful, Having this type of intro that shows us every character does definitely work for a good reason, because you'll get immediately reminded of everybody, you get to see everybody, you get to all remember. It makes pretty long, you get to focus on music, every character gets those 2 frames where you can kind of tell their personality and all that stuff. So it's all solid. And another thing I'm going to commend the show is I enjoyed the fact that the mansions for both elimination and the actual figure, they're both present in a lot of shots. So backgrounds have like a decent bit of consistency to them. I like that. But in general, yeah, show's pretty solid right now. The main things I would recommend is definitely, just write challenges where every team can participate, because you've got a good chunk of teams. You've got quite a few teams. So, and quite a lot of characters in those teams. So you just want to make challenge where every team can sort of do their thing, right? Because otherwise, these challenges have the problem where teams just coast by not doing anything and they survive, right? Like, for example, in this challenge that just survive the Eldritch being, like half the people probably aren't going to show up because they're just not going to get chased, right? Like it's just a matter of whoever the Eldritch being finds first. So then like half the people is just not going to find them, So in general, it just ends up not being that interesting. But yeah, I'd rather do some sort of challenge where like they have to make a thing or like impress or like talent or whatever. I don't know, but some challenge where every team does it individually. So that way we need to have a scene with every team so that they can, of course, plan, strategize, and eventually make the thing, and then they can show it off. I think that's a good way because it causes character interactions to happen. This is another problem that the challenge has. It doesn't allow for much character interaction, because any character interaction is just brawl. Just like how in the last challenge there's no character interaction because they're all just going whoop and holding their breath. So yeah, in general that's just kind of the issue. But other than that, I mean, there's some potential. It's animated better, the VAing is better, there's just more of them as well, and I see potential, but we maybe gotta find some better challenge ideas. But other than that, we've got some interesting things to work on. But also, yeah, we need maybe some better challenge ideas and some more focus on an actual character dynamic, because while it's okay to that characters don't really know each other yet, they gotta start to do that sometime. Like you've already seen how it is to write a character arc with Bubble Wrap Jr. and teabag and stuff. But like, you gotta just do more. Like, you gotta start more of those friendships, right? Because currently nobody knows each other because there's never been a scene where a character talks to another character. Like, pretty much like two. So yeah, that's all for Magnificent Madness 2, episode 2. Cool stuff. And with that, I think I'm going to wrap up today's object catch up. My throat is honestly actually a little bit more tired today. I don't know if you can actually tell, but especially in these later in these later like videos that we looked at for Magnificent Madness, you can definitely feel the fact that it's kind of fizzling out, and right now it's at its worst. So I don't think I've got quite the ability to look at something else today. But either way, I think that today we did take a look at a bunch of stuff. I don't know, these past few days I have been feeling like I'm maybe not taking a look at enough and all that stuff, even though I have though. Like, the amount of videos that I've taken a look at is quite high. It's just that I'm still feel so far behind because so much stuff has released lately that I have to get to, that it just feels like I'm behind. So even though today we didn't really take a look at a massive popular show, or any new release, so we may take a look at new releases on a backlog, I will absolutely. Remember, I'm getting to everything. If I get to everything like a few weeks late, I think it's fine, because in general, it's not too bad. I'm not like too worried about getting in on the hype, unless it's like one of the big boys, one of the shows I consider a big boy show. So, other than that, I think that it's fine. And in general, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've been slacking off at all. So, even though it does sometimes feel like it, because I'm not managing to take a look at many shows, but that's because the shows I have been looking at, I've been putting a focus into the shows that have more than 10 episodes here, so we can get them out of the way. Because when there's a show with over 10 episodes that I gotta take a look at, it's like it's always in the back of my mind, and it's like, damn it, I need to get to this for me to unlock other stuff and free up for other stuff in the future. So it's like, I gotta do this so that it's eventually out there. So I will. So I've done that, and a lot of those initial shows from the Halloween era, we've taken a look at a good chunk of them. Not all of them. There's still some that I'm just straight up currently considering kind of impossible. That would need entire specials for them. That could be multi-hour long. So for those, I'm probably dodging it completely for now. But we will be taking a look at other stuff. Like stuff that has over 20 videos to look at. It's like, okay, chill out there for a moment. We're not going to be taking a look at those yet while I have other big stuff to get to. So the pre-Halloween uploads that I've mostly covered them, but then there's still quite a lot of post-Halloween uploads and stuff that that I didn't notice back in the day that I got noticed now and all that stuff. But look, we'll get to it eventually, and all that stuff. You gotta get the requests as well and all of that stuff. So in general, we there's just stuff that is necessary, So in general, we'll get to it. I've just realized that I've talked so much in this outro that I've accidentally created an Omega episode. This isn't an Omega episode. This is like the 2 hours of 1 minute, whatever. But yeah, that's all I think I've really got to say here. I absolutely am working on it, working on the list, working on getting it down. And yeah, I'm just strapped for time, because if I'm making daily videos out here, but every episode I gotta talk about it in the respect that it deserves. And if that means that it'll take an hour for it to talk about a show, then it takes an hour to talk about a show. There's not too much I can really do about it. So yeah, in that case, it is what it is at the end of the day. I mean, if you think about it, we look at the 17 videos for that, then 3 more for TiaOS, so that's 20. Then then those 20 join the 13 episodes of Magnificent Madness. That's 33 plus 2, that's 35. 35 videos we took a look at today. I mean, that's fine. No, that's a good pace. I'm mainly just trying to convince myself that I'm not going slow here. But yeah, I'm not going slow, trust me. My plan currently is to do requests on episode 26. I'm saying it right now. My plan is to make the request episode 26, and hopefully something along those lines. All right, that's my hope. but let's see. For today, for these shows that we took a look today, we're all caught up. See you next time.